Hello, welcome in everybody. My name is Matthew Miller. This is the 40 Acres postgame show, Texas postgame live every weekend by me, yours truly, Matthew Miller. For your big Horns fan such as I am, please hit that like button. Please subscribe down below. And if you're not, you're just checking in with me, go over to MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football, as you see on the screen below. Go to his channel, go over to channels list, scroll down. There's 24 other team channels over there. So go subscribe to any of the ones you choose to. Anyways, let's jump into this game. Very good game. Put the score up there. Texas wins this game 32, TCU 27. Obviously, this has been Texas' bugaboo team in the Big 12. TCU is 7-2 in the last 9 years, now 7-3. Thank you very much for that win, TCU, because they did have a lot of part in that, just as we did. But they really tried to give us this game. I mean, multiple turnovers, two by the same player, Darius Davis, one on the muffed punt, one on a little jet sweep there trying to run. It wasn't a very good design play. But finally, we get this monkey off our back and win. And to be honest with you, I get more stressed out watching TCU the last decade, than watching versus Oklahoma, because for some reason this team doesn't like us. They come out, they always play their A game versus us. Whereas Oklahoma, both teams don't like each other, so they come out, they're prepared, they hate each other, so they battle at the same intensity. This kind of reminds me of Arkansas. Like, they hate us way more than we hate them, and it shows most of the times. And it showed today. I thought you could tell they brought the juice, especially that opening kickoff scared the bejesus out of me. J.D. Smealman brings it down. I thought he was going to score on it, and then they score on the touchdown. Terrible tackling, by the way, on that. Zach Evans, we had him wrapped up, and we couldn't get him down. I don't know why or how, but we should have. And then we come down on our side and kick a field goal. So that actually calmed my nerves, probably calmed the team's nerves, got us settled into the game. That was a big drive, big result. What a game, big win for the Longhorns. Yeah, I agree. It was a big win. And like I said, this is a monkey off our back. This is a team we can never overcome in the Big 12 for whatever reason it is. Today we did, and I'm going to take a win no matter what. It wasn't pretty, but I like what the guys said at the end of the game. Dusty Dvorak and Tom Luginbill on the sidelines basically said, you need to win games like this to prove who you are as a team. And I agree with that. Like, not every week's going to be Texas Tech. It's just not. We're not at that point in our program where every week is going to be 70 to 35. We're at that point where we'll probably get 2 to 3 of those games total this year. We'll probably have another one versus Kansas, and then might have a random one pop up. But we're the type of team that we're going to get in a lot of battles, and we have to stay focused and fight when we get in those battles. We didn't do that versus Arkansas. We did that today, and we finished it out. So overall, good win. Bijan is the best player. Disagree with that. Best running back for sure. Best player, no. There's plenty of just as good, if not better, players in the country. He's up there, and if he continues what he's doing, he should be in New York for the Heisman. Now, that also relies on Texas. Obviously, we had a running back years ago, Deontay Foreman. I think he finished 10th in the Heisman voting. Probably should have finished higher. He had over 2,000 yards rushing, but we were a bad football team. This team's much better. So as long as we keep the wins up, I think he's got a chance to be in the Heisman ceremony, especially since no one yet has really taken the bull by the horns in that conversation. If you look at the two leading guys, they're playing – just kicked off actually at 3:30 with Matt Corral and Bryce Young. You really don't have someone in the lead right now solidified as the favorite. Like, I think whoever comes out of that game and with the win and looks good is probably going to be the favorite. Probably Bryce Young. I hope it's Matt Corral, though. I'd love to see an upset and love to see Ole Miss win. I want as much chaos as possible this year, other than chaos that affects Texas, of course, but chaos as much as possible. The refs came in clutch for both teams, I believe. No horrendous calls. That is true. I will say that. I was going to bash the refs, but the calls were terrible on both sides of the field. God awful. I mean, that one call where they said DeMarvion overshown, or was it overshown? Yeah, the late hit. That was terrible. It was Anthony Cook. The Anthony Cook hit was terrible. There were multiple other calls I'm trying to remember that were just like really bad. Oh, one that they never showed a replay of. They said blocking a player into the sideline. What the hell does that mean? Like, can you show us on replay what that means? Because you can push someone out of bounds. That's legal. Like, that's not against the in the rules of football. Now, if he took him and he was engaged with on bounds and like shoved them down, then fine. But I wanted to see a replay. No replay of that. They picked up a flag on a holding call on the offensive line. Though I don't remember the last time I've seen that. That happens maybe once or twice a year. Like, these refs were terrible. But they were bad on both sides. I mean, the O'Shawn Mathis one where he had Angel out late, pushed him down. Like if the ref crew was doing their job and wasn't calling those type of ticky-tack fouls the whole game, I'd have been fine with that. But they decided to call them on both. And they just came out with the decisions very late. There was that one, it was the hit with Anthony Cook. They gathered around and talked about it for like 30 seconds and then threw the flag. It's just bad. But we're used to this Texas fans. The Big 12 officiating is terrible. When people were talking about that's like making jokes on Twitter about, well, when we get to the SEC, it'll be better. SEC officiating isn't good either. The Big Ten, I watch a lot of Big Ten football because I'm in Ohio. Big Ten probably has the best officials in the country, and they're still not good, but they're probably the best. Ooh, a little Cosmic King, Texas 38, OU 24. I want to see how OU looks today because OU, we've seen this the last couple of years. They really struggle in September for whatever reason, and they get better throughout the year, especially in October. So I want to see how they do versus Kansas State today, especially if I don't know if Skylar Thompson is playing today, quarterback for Kansas State. But if he is, I think Kansas State has a chance to pull off an upset. I believe they've won the last two meetings, if I'm not wrong, maybe 2 out of 3. So 3 in a row or 3 out of 4 would be pretty good for Chris Kleiman. I think he's 2-0. So, yeah, that'd be 3 in a row. That'd be very impressive to do versus Lincoln Riley and the Sooners. I don't know if they can do that with, I believe, Skylar Howard's the backup, and I think he got hurt. So I think it'd either be Skylar Thompson or the third stringer at this point. They're not beating Oklahoma with the third stringer unless Oklahoma just absolutely self-destructs. And I don't know about you guys. I want Oklahoma to win this game. I want Oklahoma to be undefeated, riding high, coming in, and then I want to kick their ass. I don't want to, them coming off a loss. I want to beat them up when they're undefeated. It's way more fun, in my opinion. Jeremiah. Okay, thank you for that. He is okay. Skylar's in and throwing dots. Is there any score in that game yet? What? So who's playing? Yeah, I got one guy saying Skylar Thompson's playing. Brahma, you're saying third string's playing. Who's playing, guys? And are they even playing it? I thought that – am I confused? Maybe it was a 3:30 game. In my head, I had 6. I don't know why, but I had 6 o'clock in there. But overall, again, kind of got lost on my train of thought. But Bijan, we got into that debate. Agreed. He's the best running back. It's not close. And the second best might be the guy that we just played. Zach Evans is going to be really good. The only difference, they're very similar. They do a lot of things. I think Zach Evans has more breakaway ability where Bijan, he falls forward, has great balance. He's guaranteed to get 5 to 7 yards basically a carry, whereas Zach Evans is 3-2, 3-2, 40, 3-2, 3-2, 40, stuff like that. Man, am I wrong? They just I'm trying to think what number Skylar Thompson is. I want to say he's 10. I'm not 100% sure. I kind of forget. They just fumbled. Well, keep me posted on that. I know before I got on, I checked out the Cincinnati Notre Dame game real quick. It's 10-0 Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati will win that game. I think Cincinnati is probably going to go undefeated. I don't know if they're going to get in the College Football Playoff for the simple fact the Group of 5 team. And I think here, I'll throw this to you guys in the chat. If Cincinnati's undefeated, Ohio State has 1 loss at the end here. Who gets in? I think it's Ohio State pretty easily, but that's just my opinion. And also, Carriage came in this game after Okafor got hurt. Great job by him. That right side of the offensive line didn't miss a beat with Kirkstatter moving over to left guard. But let me tell you, Christian Jones, that was a turnstile in the second half. He got destroyed on the left side in the second half. I don't understand what they see with him and Okafor. I don't want Okafor to be hurt. Let's get that out there. I hope he's fine. I hope everything's good. But I hope the tape Carriage was able to show today shows the coaches, hey, wait, this guy is actually pretty damn good. He's younger than Okafor, will be here longer. Why don't we put him in, let him develop on the run, even if you think he's still a little bit worse. To me, he's better. But if you think he's a little bit worse in some of the technical sides of football, then let him develop on the job because that's the only way you're going to get to develop him. And Okafor's 6th year. He's gone after this year. So I'd put him out there the rest of the year. And Christian Jones, to be honest, I don't know what we do if we took him out. So I'm fine with him in there. But as long as with Kirkstatter over there, I feel like he makes the left side a little bit stronger. So I'd rather have 1 bad offensive lineman than 2. If we got 1, you can always chip. If you got 2, it's an issue. Ohio State could drop. Yeah, they could. Iowa looked really good. Iowa's defense is I think Georgia and Iowa's defense. Georgia's the best it's probably the best in the last 20 years in college football. But then Iowa's really good too. And I think it's all these COVID seniors coming back. Like defense is one of those things, same with offensive line. It's all about communication, knowing where you're supposed to be and stuff like that. And when you're fifth, 6 year seniors with COVID eligibility, and you learned all this, and you learned the system, and you're very good at communicating, it kind of flows and works really nice. So I think that's what we're seeing with the increase in defense this year, especially elite defense. Obviously not by us. That's another thing. We have these mental lapses. There wasn't anything over our head today, so that was good. But of tackling, first drive with Brockmeyer and I believe Jacoby Jones, Zach Evans gets out of there. There was another one later in the game. There was like 3 instances where the whole team basically decided not to tackle. The only guys that like are for sure tacklers one-on-one that I trust that I've seen this year are BJ Foster and DeMarvion Overshown. And I think DeMarvion Overshown's our best player, but I think Anthony Cook is our second best player on defense. I truly believe that. He was fantastic again. Great call on the cornerback blitz. Hits Duggan, knocks the ball out, recovers it. If he got one block, it was going to be a touchdown. Great play by him. And then a guy that everyone loves, and I know everyone loves him because they all talk about him. He's a nice fat guy and everything, but Coburn. Coburn isn't even close to our best interior defensive lineman. I think Tavondre Sweat's better than him. I think Byron Murphy, the true freshman, is better than him. And I would only put Coburn in on goal line situations because he's a big body. I wouldn't use him. If you're trying to get a pass rush, definitely don't use him. Even with the run blocking when he's out there, he's just getting shedding blocks to get to the running back when he's in there. He doesn't look that good. So I don't know why he's been hyped up. Like he's had moments, but he's, in my opinion, our third best interior defensive lineman. It's Scott. It's Skyler for K-State. Okay. They got a chance then. He's good. He's probably – I'd put him as the second best – I mean, he could be the first best quarterback in the Big 12. Spencer Rattler's not playing well. Casey Thompson didn't play well today. And Big 12's kind of weak this year, quarterback. Why I want EU to lose. They'll be 1-1 in conference. When we beat them, they'll be 1-2. I don't want to play again. I mean, yeah, but I always want to beat my rival or beat my rival off the pedestal. Like, I want to be the one that knocks OU out of the conversation of winning what? 8. This would be their 8th Big 12 title or 7th. 7 or 8. It's so many I've lost count, sadly. But I want to be that team. I want to be the team that people look at and be like, this is the team that knocked OU off that pedestal. So don't worry about that. If we beat them one time, then we'll beat them again. You got to have confidence in that. And again, we don't control it. So if they lose, they lose. I'm not actively rooting for them. I'm just be like, if someone pointed a gun at my head and said, what do you want? I would say I'd want OU to win. But I don't want OU to – I mean, I'm not rooting for them. I'll never root for OU. Does Rattler get pulled? I was going to say I don't think they're going to pull Rattler. I think that would make Riley look bad for the simple fact the fans were cheering for it and asking for it, and then you put in Cam Williams. I think that makes you look weak, in my opinion, from a outsider's perspective. Georgia, something else you should do that. I think they have a couple, but there were also guys that I think knew this was the type of dominant team they could have and skipped the NFL for this. Jordan Davis, interior defensive lineman, number 99, probably be a first-round pick. The only reason I say probably because he's the best interior defensive lineman in the country. It's not close, like at all. The guy's a freak. He runs a sub 540 at over 330 pounds. He's a freak athlete. And the only reason I say might be is because the NFL has kind of moved away from those guys, but he's insane. He came back. He was going to be an NFL player. I'd have to go look at the rest of the roster. But they've recruited so well. They've had top 5 recruiting classes for the past 5 years. Keely Ringo, obviously, who Texas recruited super hard, came down between us and Georgia, chose Georgia, is playing insane at cornerback. The one thing they haven't seen yet is a good pocket quarterback. KJ Jefferson's fine, but he's not going to slice and dice down the field. I'm waiting for that type of quarterback to get in there. I think DJ can do that, but for whatever reason, obviously we know Clemson's offensive line is bad. That's why he couldn't do that. And I'm just waiting for that team. Really, the only teams, I don't know if they play Ole Miss. If they do, that'd be interesting. Obviously, when they play Alabama, that will be interesting. they'll play them in the SEC championship game is my bet. I don't think Florida can do that. Emory Jones is similar to KJ Jefferson unless they make the switch to Anthony Richardson, which in that case they might be able to. We need to send more pressure. 3 guys isn't enough. I agree. And I liked you saw it more. Brockemeyer, they started putting on the blitz, which I 100% agree with because I don't like him out in coverage or just sitting back. He's not that good at either of those things. And I like when they blitz him. So bring him more on blitzes. I love the Anthony Cook blitz. You can do that once in a while. I can't do it a lot because if you get caught, it usually ends up in a big play when you send a cornerback. And yeah, I agree. I think we should go with 4. And on obvious passing downs, I would like to see – I know we complain about Todd Orlando, but I'd like to see more blitzes. We just don't blitz at all. We're very conservative. And I thought, if I'm not wrong, I'm pretty sure I heard Sark say when he got introduced as the head coach, he wanted someone on the defensive side of football that was going to be like smash mouth. He wanted to be up in your face, attacking type defense. And that's not what this is. This is kind of like sit back, let you have 3 to 5 yards every time and stop you in the red zone type defense. And maybe him and PK had to adapt, but I don't think so because that's what PK did at Washington for the most part. But Sark didn't hire the guy, in my opinion, that he either wanted to hire to run that type of defense or he can't run that type of the defense because these are the type of players we had. I will say this, cornerbacks played a little bit better, not getting beat over the top today, but still aren't great, especially tackling. They're not good at. Other than Anthony Cook, it's just not good at tackling. I will say we didn't hear Darian Dunn's name today. That's fantastic because if you don't hear a cornerback's name, it usually means they're doing a good job. The other guy, I would like to see when Josh Thompson comes back from concussion because he was out today, him and Darian Dunn as starting cornerback. And you want to throw Keats and Crawford in there as well, battle it out. Because I don't think Deshaun Jameson's a great cover corner. Fantastic kick returner. Obviously, you saw him I believe 3 times they return a kick for 35-plus yards. First one he almost took for a touchdown. It was pretty close for one guy, and he was going to take it in. And he's fantastic at that. Probably the best special teams player we've had here in a long time. I think Reggie Memphis Hemphill Maps. I forget how you pronounce or say his name, but he was the year Tom Herman's first year as a freshman, and he returned one versus Maryland for a touchdown, a punt. And then after his freshman year, after that game, basically kind of disappeared, and then he transferred. But I think he was probably super similar to Deshaun, but we never got to see him take full advantage of for whatever reason. I don't know why. Oh, why do you think the recruits want to see us beat OU in the Big 12? We have some 5-star prospects that can improve the holes on our team. At some point you have to turn a corner, and we've been feeding this to recruits since basically 2012, I'll say, because we showed it from 2005 to 2010. This team can compete nationally. Recruits want to know, oh, this is what we're getting to, and you can actually compete nationally. Because if you get on a national stage, get in nationally televised games, that's how you get noticed for the NFL draft even easier than Christian. A good example of this, Christian McCaffrey, the year he should have won the Heisman, Derrick Henry won. If he played in the SEC, would have won the Heisman easily. That's why recruits aren't going to the Pac-12 as much, is because there's so little recognition with these noon games or super late night games. They want primetime football so the eyes can be directly on them, so it's easier for NFL teams to, grade them, look at their film, and draft them, basically. Key versus OU next week, dealing pressure on Rattler, no penalties, no sacks, control the game. Well, yeah, no penalties will always help. I don't think we had that many penalties today other than, again, there were some BS calls that I don't think would get called most other weeks. DBs have a difficult matchup. Yeah, that's another reason too why we probably don't bring a lot of pressure is I don't think our cornerbacks, like I said, other than Josh Thompson, are very good. And I haven't seen enough of Darian Dunn. They don't put him out there on key plays other than this game where he showed me enough. And let's be honest here, Max Duggan, other than short and intermediate throws, he's not a very good deep ball passer. Neither is Casey Thompson, though. He missed a lot of deep balls. Some of that was pressure. Some of that was just bad throws. There were a couple to Xavier Worthy. Xavier Worthy didn't have a good game, had a lot of drops, I think 4 drops. So it's just a sloppy game by both teams, to be honest with you. So I agree. We have to keep it clean versus OU next week. Does anyone know what the score of that game is right now versus Kansas State? Okay, I'm brought to you by Mark Rogers, the voice of college football. If you're here, you probably know of him, but if not, go up to YouTube, type in Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, just Mark Rogers TV. Subscribe to his channel, like his videos. If you're here, if you want to see some like other team content, go to channel, scroll down. There's 24 other teams. Look at their content, like, subscribe. They do a fantastic job. And also hit the like button, subscribe to this channel. It really helps out this video going out to other people so we can get more people here, get a bigger discussion, grow a bigger community. Thank you very much. 3-0 OU. Okay. That's pretty. Wait, is it end of the first quarter, second quarter? What are we looking at? Oh, here's another discussion. Okay, so we were 32-20. We go for it on fourth down at like the 1.5 yard line. I wanted a field goal because that puts it up 35-20. It forces them to score a touchdown plus a touchdown and a 2-point conversion. Did you guys in that moment, not afterwards, want a field goal or them to go for it? I wanted the field goal. So that was like the big, if we would have lost that game, probably would have gone on here and gotten pretty fired up about that. I thought that was a really dumb call, really dumb decision in my opinion. But overall, there's really not much to complain about with this coaching staff. I mean, I wouldn't say it's as good as I thought it was going to be as a coaching staff, but again, some of them are still learning the Big 12, stuff like that. But it's way better than we've had with Tom Herman and especially Charlie Strong. Charlie Strong, if this was a Charlie Strong game, though, basically TCU looked at what TCU was playing like if they were Texas under Charlie Strong, like muffed punts, just dropping jet sweeps, stuff like that is Charlie Strong's type stuff. Tom Herman's type stuff would have been every one of those decisions to go for it on fourth down. We would have gone for it. It would have been a terrible play call, and we would have ended up not getting any points on like half of those, on basically all those turnovers. So really not much to complain about. I'm just nitpicking. I like them going for it because if you don't get it and they have to drive 90 yards. True. And that's what did happen. They had terrible clock management. I think they took like 4.5 minutes off the clock. They scored with like 4.5 minutes left, and they got the ball with like close to 9 minutes left. So, like, that's why I wasn't going to be too hard on him. But, I mean, 35-20 to me, I think that was game. I don't think they're going to get 2 touchdowns and a 2-point conversion. I think they could have scored 2 touchdowns because fluky things happen all the time. But I just didn't feel like they were going to get a 2-point conversion on top of that. But it doesn't matter. We won. I like the idea. I've seen anything yet, but I think Sark wanted to put it up. That's what stats because he's building a team in 3 years. Yeah, could be. I mean, I think running back's going to recruit itself under Sark, as we've seen. I mean, he gets them involved in every way: passing game, running game. Bijan, another thing NFL likes, obviously, a 3-down back that can block. Bijan has shown the capability of doing that with Stan Drayton. I think he's one of the 5 best running back coaches in the country. So that's going to recruit itself. We already got Jaden Blue and Jamarion Miller, and then hopefully Ruben Owens is still looking at us. We could get him. If we get him, it's just going to roll. I think we could become like a Georgia or Alabama type running back room. We're already pretty close right now. And another thing, Keelan Robinson needs to get more touches. That guy, every time he touches the ball, it's a positive play. And if he doesn't lose his footing on that one pass out to the right on the screen, he's getting 10 yards and he breaks the tackle. It's probably a touchdown. That guy is so fast. I want to see more of him, his involvement. He was involved a lot last week, but not this week, which tells me they either don't trust him and they really didn't think very highly of Texas Tech and got him a lot involved in that game, or something, he's like nicked up or something, because that doesn't make any sense why you play him. I think he only played like 3 plays on offense. That guy he's the fastest person on our team. You got to get him involved more, in my personal opinion. I understand the fourth and call, but I like formation. Once we lost Okafor, we lost some power. We should have spread. No, that is true. Denzel Okafor is a very good run blocker. That's PFF has him graded as our best run blocker on the team. He struggles in pass protection. Christian Jones, I'd have to look at the numbers. I don't think Christian Jones really is graded at anything. I think he's kind of just eh. And then Kirk Stetter is like kind of he hasn't been playing well, but he's one of those guys that's capable. I'm not really worried about him. Majors, other than Arkansas, has played well. And Anguilau's probably been our most consistent offensive line. Agreed. I I think he could be our third best wide receiver. I think it could be him, Xavier Worthy, and Jordan Whittington. Jordan Whittington, fantastic catch, by the way, coming back after the Arkansas game where he had a couple big drops. He really needed that for his confidence. That was a fantastic catch. Big play. And also, he scored a touchdown on that RPO. We ran 2 of those. I want to see 4 to 5 of those. I mean, the 2019 LSU Tigers, that was like their game plan was RPO you to death, basically, and then take shots downfield or run the ball or get their speedsters on drag routes underneath. I really don't understand. I'm not saying run that game plan because that offense is insane. We don't have that type of offense, but run more RPOs, man. Like, I really don't understand at all. I think that should be like a 5 to 7 type. I think we should call that play 5 to 7 times the game, in my opinion. Brooks can take Keelan's place, but I'm sure Roschon formation could be amazing. Yeah, we did. We wanted on the 4th down call, we had Roschon come in, and we were going to run a play call with him at quarterback, and then it was a false start on Jared Wiley, so that didn't end up happening. But I like the 4th down call too with Roschon in motion, and he took the snap from under center. I thought that was pretty unique, pretty cool. Never seen them do that before, so that was nice. To me, seemed like a lot more conservative game plan, though. Like, they obviously push the ball downfield, I think about the same as Tech or even more. But I'm talking about, like, motion-wise, not as many, like, orbit motions in general. They had that one push pass at the end of Xavier Worthy. I really like that. I like those type of play calls. We have really fast and athletic guys. I would just like to get the ball in space to them, like, really quick instead. Especially the deep shots aren't hitting, and our offensive line, when the guys do get open, usually doesn't give him enough time to plant his feet and make an accurate throw downfield. And then when he does have time, he isn't making the throws. So I feel like he needs to just hit the intermediate passes when they're there, because like 10 to 12 yards isn't bad. And then, but most of the time, like 75, 80% of the time, just get the ball out quick to the playmakers and let them do their work. Or just hand it off to freaking Bijan every play and let him go crazy. I mean, he had over 200 yards rushing, 216 on 35 carries, both career highs. He was our second leading receiver, only 22 yards. Our leading receiver was Jordan Whittington with 72. Just a really good game by Bijan. He's amazing. He's the best Texas running back since – I'm going to say it. I'm going to say Ricky Williams. I didn't want to say that at the beginning of the year. I said Cedric Benson. I think he's the best since Ricky Williams. We were committed to running. Sark saw the SMU game plan and said we have a Heisman Caliber running back. And yeah, I agree. And I'm 100% fine with that. Like, if we're going to play smash mouth football, that's another thing that will get offensive linemen in the door is when offensive linemen are just crazy people. So they love to bury people, pancake them, stuff like that. So that'll help when running backs go off like that. That'll help offensive linemen come through the door. And that's what we really need. Like, if we're really talking recruiting, we need some big guys in the trenches, as I've been saying basically after every postgame show. And the defensive line, we need some speed rushers. We don't have any great pass rushers on this team. Ovi's okay, but Jacoby Jones played okay too, but I still can't get over that tackle on that first drive. I don't know how you missed that with Brockmeyer and him. And he had one really good spin move that was really nice and left the, I believe, right tackle. Got away from the right tackle pretty easily and almost came up with a sack. But other than that, he doesn't really have any pass rush moves. There aren't really any people on our team with pass rush moves, like, in general. Like, that was the first legit move I've seen. I don't see any, like, dips, spins, nothing. I kind of see just a bull rush every time, and you can't beat most offensive linemen if you just bull rush every time. 4th and goal for Kansas State. Dude, yeah, he played. I don't know if he played as much, but he definitely played. I saw him out there. He didn't have as much of an impact, but I will say, when him and Sweat were in, they did much better against the run than when Coburn and insert whoever, Ray Thornton, in versus the run. Tavondre Sweat needs to be in most of the game. Like, he is our best interior defensive lineman. Byron Murphy also played very, very well when he was in. I would love to see just Sweat, Murphy, Collins, Ovi out there, defensive line. That would be my defensive line. But that'd be my defensive line for like 65, 70% of the snaps, and then just shuffle in 3 to 4 other guys. A guy that I really thought was going to be good, especially in pass rush, was Vernon Broughton. he doesn't play that much, and he doesn't really do much when he's out there. Like, if you watch tape on this guy and just his training, he looks like he would have insane lateral quickness and insane like will to get to the quarterback, and he just doesn't have that right now. He's young, so maybe I'm expecting too much. I mean, our defense in general. I mean, if you just go down, like, how many NFL players do we? I mean, good NFL players. I don't mean guys that will make like a practice squad or jump from team to team. I mean, like a Puna Ford type player where, yeah, he was underdrafted, but the guy is a legit, really good NFL player, like an every down defensive tackle. When's the last time we had someone like that at Texas? Malcolm Brown in 2015, like Joseph Osai, obviously at linebacker, and we moved into defensive line, but other than that, they're few and far between. There's like one every 3 or 4 years. Like, we need to have 2 to 3 to 4 of those guys on the team at one time. And just on the defense in general, like cornerback, when's the last cornerback we had that was just like super good? When's the last linebacker other than Joseph Osai that we've had that's super good? It's just defense hasn't been there, to be honest with you. It's been kind of sad. I mean, the only guy on DeMar Van Overshown is going to be a good player in the NFL, and he'll get drafted probably as a second or third round pick if he leaves after this year. But I mean, Brockemeyer wouldn't start for any other top 10 team or any of the top 10 teams in the country right now. He just wouldn't. I like him. I like his story, but he's just not that good. Especially like he's a perfect example of what a linebacker should have been back in the 90s, like north and south type guy. Guys you need now are you need east and west type guys. That guy cannot run east and west. He's way too slow. Yeah, and even Coburn, man, like he'll be in the NFL, but he's going to be a rotational player at best, and you're going to use him in goal line mostly. I just don't see it. He can't rush the passer. How many sacks does he have in his career? 2, 3? Overshown, I agree with Collins. Yeah, Collins is all like he would get drafted right now just because of his athletic ability. He would go to the combine and people would just be like, "What the hell? I can develop this guy." And I believe if he can't get out of Texas developed, people in the NFL aren't going to develop him, because I really do believe this Texas staff is really good at what they do in developing players. We just don't have the players to develop yet to get them to that point, in my opinion. But yeah, those two, and I only really agree, like I said, with 2 of those guys. I don't think Coburn's that good. I think, like I said, he'll be in the league, but he's a goal line player to me. To be a defensive tackle in the league now, you have to rush the passer. You have to be Chris Jones. You have to be an Aaron Donald type. You have to be a Grady Jarrett who had 3.5 sacks versus Tom Brady for the Falcons in the Super Bowl. You have to be that type of player. Well, yeah, but PK wouldn't be developing those guys. PK, what you're going to judge PK on, obviously, is game day. Then you're going to judge him on cornerback and safety development, because that guy, if you look at the guys that he brought in the NFL, they're mostly cornerbacks, and they're mostly not very good. Like, if you look at their high school ratings, 2, 3 stars, some 4 stars, and he turns them like Byron Murphy is by far and away the best cornerback on the Cardinals, who have a pretty good defense, and he is only pretty undersized, but he's a very good player. Buda Baker, another example on the Cardinals. I mean, they turned in some really, really good secondary players from Washington to the NFL. Touchdown K-State. Cool. Like I said, I'm cool if they win. It'd be nice to have OU undefeated so we could beat them. But then again, like, here's the question. OU loses next week. We go to the Big 12 championship game, which I said in last week's video, if we beat TCU, that is now my expectation. My expectation is now to get to the Big 12 championship game. Who are we going to play in the Big 12 championship game? That is my question to you guys. Rob Field, officiating sucks, unconscious, out to get Texas. I don't know about that, but they were bad. And they were bad on both sides. I agree, there was probably 1 or 2 more calls on Texas. Like I said, I'm glad we won, because the first thing I would have gone on here and said is at halftime I was pretty angry, guys. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, if I had to go on for like a halftime video, I would have exploded. They were pissing me off. I think Harris. I agree. Denver Harris, yeah. I think it's either us or Alabama. I don't think A&M is. I think they're in it, but I think they're third in my opinion. Which We need to close that recruitment, and we need to actually get this NIL thing rolling. Like, we have a shit ton of money. Start getting it out there, boosters. Come on, start throwing it. Or I'm not going to say the boosters. Administration allow the boosters to do what boosters have been doing at other programs. Jeremiah used to think if OU loses today and versus us next week, they would still play us in the Big 12 championship game if we made it. Man, it's possible. I don't think Iowa State. I'm going to say the winner between Baylor and Oklahoma State has a really good shot, because I think between those two teams, that's probably the third or fourth best team. The winner of that's probably the third or fourth best team. I'm still going to put Iowa State in that category in the Big 12. But I would probably say the winner of that has the best shot at playing us in the Big 12 championship game, which I think the game's at Oklahoma State. I don't trust Spencer Sanders, though. I would probably pick Baylor. Yeah, I mean, those are the three. Those are really the only – well, I mean, if Kansas State wins today, too, they could. I mean, to be honest with you, it's going to be real chaos if Oklahoma loses today and we beat them next week. Like, we'll clearly be – not clearly, we will be the best team. I'm not going to say clearly. We'll be the best team in the Big 12 and be in the driver's seat for the championship game. But after that, I mean, you have Oklahoma, Iowa State, Kansas State, Baylor, Oklahoma State, all right there. West Virginia can upset people. They're a good football team. They're really good on defense. They're probably the best defensive team in the conference. I mean, it could be a free-for-all in there for second place to see who could possibly play us. I don't want to say we're there. If we beat Oklahoma next week, I will come on here and say Big 12 championship will win or bust. Right now, I want to get there. That's the goal, is getting there. My goal was to win 8 games at the beginning of the season, 8 or 9. Now it's get to the Big 12 championship game. We beat Oklahoma. It's to win the Big 12 championship game, which if we go 10-2, 11-2 plus a bowl, let's say we go 12-2 somehow, knock on wood, recruiting is going to take off. It's already got momentum because Sark is a really nice guy who builds relationships, who's a really good football coach. It's going to take off because recruits will be like, what he'll tell to recruits is, look what I'm doing with players that aren't mine. Imagine what I can do with you. Imagine what I can do with you. Look at Alabama last year. That's what we can be. And you can make money doing it. And you can come to a great university. I mean, it will take off. So we need that. Let me say, OSU actually, Baylor could be a pretender. I mean, that was a good win, though, last week. But then again, I don't know Iowa State. Iowa State's just, I don't know. They're hard to read. Oh, no, agreed. That's what I said. I'm not getting cocky. I'm saying if we get there, you're going to hear the word if until we're the last game of the season and we're up by 2 games, basically. Like, it's guaranteed. Then I'll start saying we will. But it's going to be if. We'll be in the top. We were number 26 before. I'm trying to think of the top 25 teams that lost that would drop out. I don't know the top 25 off my head, but yeah, we'll be in there. I think we'll be somewhere between 21 and 24, my guess. TCU is the best or second best team in the Big 12 when we won. Are they? Because California isn't a very good offense team. They exposed them. SMU isn't. I mean, SMU is a good offense, and they beat them up and down the field. I thought we ran the ball pretty easily versus them today. Passing, I agree. Passing defense are probably first or second. I think Oklahoma State's defense is pretty good. I think Baylor's defense, too early to tell. I would say they're in the mix. I would say West Virginia is number 1 for me, and then I would probably put either TCU, Baylor, or Oklahoma State fighting for the second spot. We beat out OU and win the Big 12. We'll land with the move to the SEC, having a great year this year, puts us in position. Yeah, the question is, I'm wondering when they're going to start to, if they're ever going to announce when we're going to go to the SEC. I don't think it's going to be next year. I think it's going to be the year after. I think it'll be 2023. And, I mean, if he can put a really good back-to-back years together in the Big 12 and then move to the SEC, I think we have a real and we're willing to spend a little bit of money and guarantee NIL. I think we have a really, 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 really good shot at landing Arch Manning. I think if that happens, where if, let's say, we go 10-2 in the regular season this year, 10-2 in the regular season next year, I think it's going to be between us and Georgia for Arch Manning. Now, if Georgia goes undefeated and just dominates everybody they play this year and wins a national championship, that's going to put a dent in that. I don't think he's going to go to Clemson for this simple fact you have Cade Klubnik there, who I think is really, really good. I think he should have been rated higher than Quinn Ewers coming out of high school. And I don't think Arch Manning would beat him out while he's there. So I don't know why I'd go there. Ole Miss is always a possibility if they play well, and Lane Kiffin's still there. But Arch Manning, if you know anything about the Mannings, they're not out and about, like showboating, doing stupid stuff. Like they're pretty quiet, laid back type of people for the most part. I think that's why it took so long for Peyton and Eli to do what they're doing TV show wise. Like they just like to have fun and be laid back. And so I think, and even there was an article with Steve Sarkisian, or a quote of Arch Manning saying, like, I just like the guys. They're cool guys. They're laid back guys. That's the kind of vibe of Austin. So I think he really likes the city. It just needs us to win to push him to come here, basically. So I think get a shot. Cincy's winning 17. I wouldn't say Notre Dame is trash. I think Cincinnati's really good. I think they're legitimately, I mean, guys, after Alabama and Georgia, the fight for three is there. Like, there's no third best team in the country right now. Like, someone's fighting for that spot. I think Cincinnati could be the third best team. I think, and it depends today. If Alabama struggles with Ole Miss, I could change that tune and knock them down because they haven't looked fantastic. Georgia's by far, they're for real. They're in the college football playoff, in my opinion. I don't care if they lose a game, they should go in. They're one of the four best teams. Their defense is insane. But the fight for at least three right now, because I still believe Alabama's up there. So it's Georgia, Alabama. I think Cincinnati could be the third best team. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, Texas, OU, Kansas State, West Virginia, Oklahoma State, Baylor. Like, basically everyone other than Tech, TCU, and Kansas could make – that means I'm missing a team in there, but basically everyone other than 3 or 4 teams could be in the Big 12 championship game. The Big 12 is wide open, just like most college football. Like ACC, go look at their league. You have no idea. Like, seriously, drop a prediction of who you think is going to be in the ACC championship game. No one knows that. Like, no one. You could come up with 10 guesses. You're probably not going to be right. Wow, Texas Tech beat West Virginia? Holy crap. Okay. Yeah, that would actually surprise me a lot, which also tells me they're fighting for Matt Wells' day if they win that game, which is a good or a bad thing. I don't know, depending on your perspective. If you want him, it's a good thing. If you don't want him, it's a bad thing. Yeah, they do have offensive issues. That's the problem with Neil Brown since he's been there. Their offense has been that good. Their defense has been good, though, especially with the Stills brothers. They got one of them still left, and he's been pretty good. I think we're waiting to see how this season goes before deciding SEC or stay. We're staying so we can start get some develop. True, yeah, I agree with that to some extent, but also the money plays into a factor. And this isn't lasting until 2025. I believe the other teams that just got like invited and accepted into the conference are coming in 2023. So that's why, that's why I said 2023. That's when I think it's going to happen. And 2025 is too long. That's basically the kids you're recruiting right now. Most likely they'll be their senior year, or they won't be there, or they'll have like be fifth year seniors. Like, there's no point. You can't sell SEC to them. Flash the score up there real quick. Again, please hit that like button. Please subscribe down below. Probably going to go for another 10, 15 minutes because I want to watch some more football. Obviously, Ole Miss, Alabama. Anyone have the score of that game? That game did start already, didn't it? Or is that a night game? To be honest with you, other than like the Texas TCU game, I really didn't know the start time of these games clearly. I thought, which was puzzling, which I'm glad it turned out to be. Arkansas, Georgia being a 12 o'clock game was kind of weird. But, I mean, turned out to be okay because let's talk about that. Georgia smacked the crap out of Arkansas. I mean, that's one of those things where Arkansas likes to bully you up and down the field because they have bigger, stronger guys than you. You can't do that versus Georgia because you don't. And they have more speed and more talent. So I wasn't surprised that Georgia won. I was surprised how Georgia dominated that football game. 14 Obama. Okay. I'm not surprised by that. I mean, I thought Ole Miss would cover the spread. I think the spread was 15.5. I thought Georgia, or I mean Arkansas would cover the spread too. I thought Georgia would probably win that game like 37-20. I thought Arkansas would score at least. But they did what I think everyone should do going forward against Arkansas, which is load the box and play man-to-man versus Arkansas and make KJ Jefferson beat you. Because I don't think he can really beat you. And if he does, and he might be able to like he did versus A&M where he'll beat you 1 to 2 times, but I'd make him do it consistently. Right now, I think Georgia would win for the simple fact that defense is insane and Alabama's offense isn't as. If this is Alabama's team last year, I would take Alabama. It'd be a very good game, by the way. But Alabama's offense isn't as good as last year. Their defense is a little bit better than last year, but Georgia is playing at an absolute insane clip on defense, just insane. So I would take Georgia, but I hate Georgia. I'd way rather have Alabama than Alabama win it again than Georgia. At this point, Alabama can't get any better recruiting. Georgia can probably get a little bit better, and there's some recruits that we really want, again, like Arch Manning, Reuben Owens, that I think they could go there if Georgia wins a national championship. So I'd root for Alabama in that game just for recruiting reasons. And Georgia's fans are annoying. I mean, you haven't won a national championship in 41 years, and you act like you're all this. Like, shut the hell up. Anyone think Michigan's for real? Because I think they're good, and I think they're probably – I think it's them, Iowa, or Ohio State are the 3 best teams in the Big Ten. I don't believe in Penn State, especially after seeing what kind of frauds Auburn was, especially when they played Georgia Southern, and they got bailed out by the refs. They should have lost that game. Arkansas has no shot. Yeah, it was. They can't match talent. You're right. And the thing is, like I said, they like to bully people, and you can't bully someone who's bigger than you most of the time. That's what happened today. They'll be able to bully. I think they play Auburn next week. They should win that game. And it's also just like, how many times can you get up mentally and emotionally and physically from a game and just be super pumped every week, man? Like, they had to play us, then they had to play A&M, then they go down to Athens, and then they're going to play Auburn, then they play Ole Miss, and they play Alabama. Like, dude, that's like 8 weeks in a row. You just got to get super fired up to play football. Like, let's be honest with you, there's some games like last week, Texas, you could tell they weren't super fired up. They kind of just went out there. They were excited to be there, bro, but they weren't like Arkansas fired up when we played them. And we're like, you have to get like that basically every week, like with that schedule. And that's just not going to happen. That's not possible. Michigan, okay. Yeah, right now, if they were to play this game today, I agree with you, Jeremiah. I think Michigan would probably beat Ohio State and lose to Iowa. But the simple fact, Michigan is kind of like Arkansas, to be honest with you. They run the ball at you, and a little bit like us, a lot of physicality, but they don't really have our quarterback. Casey's a lot better than Cade McNamara. Cade McNamara can't make that many good throws. And that's why I thought Michigan was going to win today, because Cade McNamara may not be very good, but Graham Mertz is god-awful. And Wisconsin's a place where quarterbacks go to die anyways. They're terrible there. 10-7 OU. I'm guessing it's in the second quarter now, since it was early first when I asked last time. Okay, guys, go over to MarkRogersTV if you haven't already. Subscribe to his channel, watch his videos, like his videos. You'll love him, especially if you're a college football fanatic like I am. Go over to his team channels list. There's other team content, other post games, just like this one. Scroll down. There's Florida State, Iowa, Ohio State, Miami. I always watch the Miami guys. They always get fired up, especially I watched a little bit after that Virginia game. They're done with Manny Diaz, as they should be. I didn't watch any of Iowa's last week, but I watched them versus Iowa State. I like that. They went out in the crowd, went out before the game, talked to fans, talked to I forget his name, but he was a quarterback that played for Iowa State, a legend there, and I found it pretty interesting. No, he didn't look good. Someone actually posted the stats of halftime between him in this game and Hudson Card versus Arkansas, very similar. And the difference was, the offensive line played much better in the run game, and that's what you got to do. If they can't pass protect very well, you got to at least run protect. Versus Arkansas, they did neither at all. And the only reason Bijan had like 60-some, I think he had like 68 yards in that game, was because he's Bijan. That's literally the only reason he had 68 yards. That's the thing. College football is cyclical, just like anything in life. Like that's what makes the Alabama run so impressive. The Miami's run of the 1980s so impressive. These teams were able to like beat that. Usually, you got about a 5 max 7-year window where you can be dominant. These teams were better than that for that window. And I'm waiting for. I mean, I would assume when Nick Saban retires, that ends for Alabama. And obviously, when Miami got rid of Jimmy Johnson, that kind of ended for them, and before they got Butch Davis in the early 2000s, and then they've been bad again. So I expect with the right coaching hire, that's the problem too. You have same with Florida State. You fired so many coaches, you owe some guys so many money, and the boosters get tired of firing people after people after people after people. Eventually, you're just gonna have to. In my opinion, I would someone that is like hard nosed, a true football guy that would just build the program up. They'd probably be bad for 2 or 3 years, but then you'd probably get back to respectability in 3 or 4 years, kind of like a Sam Pittman type. I think Jeff Traylor at UTSA would be a really good hire for either one of those programs, Florida State or Miami. I think if you build a solid program, you're probably not going to win national championships, but guess what? You beat 8 to 10 wins every year in the ACC, and I think at that point, that's what you should strive for because it's only going to get worse for Manny Diaz. I mean, some of this, it's a clown show, man. Like, they'll do stuff when they're down by 30 points, like get a turnover, and then go celebrate on the sideline. Dude, you're down by 30 points. I don't give a crap if you just got an interception. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Carter was toast in Arkansas. I felt he got hit on too much for 2 weeks of starting practice. I agree. I think he did get hit on too much. But I also think Casey would have handled some of that better, where there were times Card had time to throw and he just didn't get out of the pocket and had time to throw. And then when he didn't have time to throw, there were times he did have time to throw. But then on like 3-man rushes, he had all day sometimes versus Arkansas. There was only like 2 or 3 occasions like this, and he'd get out of the pocket and he'd just pat the ball instead of running. Casey wouldn't do that. Casey's more decisive. Now and some of it is definitely pre-planned by Casey. You can tell that with that interception day into triple coverage. That was a terrible throw. And that was just like, okay, there's 40-something seconds left going at the end of the second quarter. I need to make a play in this 2-minute drive. I'm just going to throw it down there. And he threw it down there and was intercepted. It was terrible. Yeah, 60. That's one thing the offensive line has done better versus every week since the Arkansas game. They've done better versus the 3-man rush of not giving up sacks. Now, that did happen once today, but I think it'll really only happen once. The other times it was mostly blitzes they had trouble with, which I'm not surprised. They need to get that figured out because OU will do the same thing TCU did. Alex Trench will definitely bring exotic blitzes, and they need to figure that out. But other than that, the 3-man rush, I feel like we've gotten that under control. The stunts, for the most part, we've gotten under control. It's like the delayed blitzes and sometimes the delayed stunts we still need to work on. And I would like to see someone replace Christian Jones, but I don't think it's going to happen because I don't really think we have anyone to replace him. I thought there was 2 bad offensive linemen, and I thought we had 1 good one on the bench that I trust, and Andre Karich, and he's inserted right now, and hopefully he stays inserted. And Denzel Okafor sits out the rest of the year. Not hurt. I hope he's healthy. I just want him out for the rest of the year, healthy on the bench, and I think we'll be fine, hopefully. Watch Kansas. That would be pretty funny if Kansas beat Iowa State. They've been playing better, but I don't know if they've been playing that much better. I mean, 2 weeks ago, they got beat by Baylor by like 40. I think it was 45 to nothing. So that would shock me. That would really shock me. 100% they were overrated. But Purdy, I agree. It's funny because Purdy was overrated up until this year. Now he's underrated. People think he's garbage. He's not garbage, but he's not great. I think Karich, I mean, 100% agree with that, Jeremiah. I think Karich will start. If Okafor's out, he's definitely going to play. If he's not out, I think you should be able to tell by the tape that Karich is the better player. And again, he's the younger player. He's going to be there longer. Okafor's done after this year. It's a 6th year. Put Karich in, let him play. And also, I'm glad that Jeff Banks decided, I'm assuming it was his decision, or maybe partially him and Steve Sarkisian, that after that first kickoff, we decided just not to kick to J.D. Spielman anymore, because that first kickoff scared the hell out of me, and I'm glad they decided to do that. I think it was pretty funny. It took Gary Patterson 2 or 3 times to decide I'm not kicking to Deshaun Jameson. He almost broke 2 or 3 off for a touchdown, got like 30 to 40 yards every time. Carriage was fighting though. He was undersized but played like he was. Yeah, well, he's not really undersized anymore. I think he weighs between 290 and 300 pounds. When he was on first on campus, he was I think only like 270. So he's put on a little bit of weight. He's always had the nastiness. He was good. He was really good last year, and he's been good this year. Him and Majors coming in last year and opening up holes kind of helped them into going into this year. And that's why I thought Carriage would be on the starting offensive line in some form, and he just hasn't been, and I don't know why. Hopefully he is in the future. No, special teams has been very good other than that kickoff, and I'm not going to blame the Dicker drop punt thing on Jeff Banks, but everything else has been spectacular. Dicker 3 for 3 today, even though one did go off the upright, but good day for him. His punts were not great, but not terrible. Agreed. I think Majors is our best offensive lineman for NFL potential. I've seen multiple tweets like Christian Jones, like guys that don't really follow Texas, but kind of just look at him and think, damn, that guy's huge, plays at Texas, has got to be really good, and say, like, this is the next great Texas offense. No, he's not. Watch some tape. He's not good. Like, he has the frame and everything. And you might get tricked into thinking he could possibly be something, but he's not good right now. Not going to lie. If we scored a touchdown after each turnover and didn't allow the opening kick return, we would have beat TCU handling mistakes. No, 100%. And that's what was so impressive, because in a game coached by Tom Herman, we lose that game like 9 times out of 10. And that shows a lot of heart and resiliency by this group, especially going against a team that's dominated us. Like I said, the past 9 years, they're 7-2. And we got over our mistakes. We kind of kept all gas, no brakes mentality. And we kept going at them resiliently, and we won the game. We grinded it out. And you have to have wins like that. You're going to have, I think, at most programs across the country, other than like 4 or 5, you're going to have 2 to 3 games a year you're going to have to grind out. There's going to be 2 to 3 games a year where you're everything's clicking, like Texas Tech last week, and you're going to steamroll someone. And then the rest are kind of just like in between that, like. And I think this was one of those games. It was a grind out game. We already had one of like our insanely good games versus Texas Tech, so I expect 1 and 2 of each more of those games this year. Just 2 like the Tech game, 2 like the TCU game. I think really the only team I still think, I know we're down on Iowa State, as we should be, but I think Iowa State's going to give us a game. They always do. They're kind of hard-nosed. They play that 3-man rush. They won't let you get beat over the top. So we're going to have to play, I feel like, this type of game versus them too. I don't think it's the last game we'll play like this year, in my opinion. He's like Amade 360, and it's the backup. Oh, you're saying Christian Jones is where they're just big and they look good, but they're not really good players? I mean, yeah, we haven't really seen much of Tope Amade. And that's the thing about, I'd rather have someone who's a little undersized but very technically skilled, especially if you're running the ball, because that takes a lot more technical work than pass protection. I just feel like he's just not that good left tackle right now. And maybe he can be coached up. He probably can be coached up, and I hope he can be, because we do need more offensive linemen. Getting drafted makes us look better, helps us recruit more. Even though it was a close game, I'm glad it was. We've been steamrolling every opponent we played back to back. No putting up in 50 points. TCU brought us back to earth, which we need before OU. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I don't know if we needed that before OU, because I think that's like the one game a year you can circle. You know they're going to bring their, like, what they have to that game. I'm not going to say it's their A game, because you don't know, but they're going to put everything they have into that game. So I'm never really worried versus OU, but it's always good to get a win the week before OU. And to be honest, I worry more about the week after. I think we play Oklahoma State the week after Oklahoma. That worries the hell out of me. And that's a big recruiting weekend, so we need to win that game. Arch Manning's in town for that game. Multiple other 5 stars are in town. We need to win that game. Agreed. I mean, that's how you win football, in the trenches. And we have big guys. Like, if you look at our defensive line, put them on a scale, they're huge, but they just don't rush the passer very well. And they're not even stopping the run either. Like, Zach Evans had over 100 yards and went for, let's see, he had 7.5 yards per carry. So not very good. But again, hit that button, subscribe down below. Thanks for hanging out with me, guys. I'm going to go watch some more football. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Throw those horns up. It's always good to get a win. Hook 'em.